A warm welcome to all the students of SV Union High School and Junior College. Hello students, we have learned about rotation of the earth in our earlier video. We have also learned how the days and night occurs on the earth. So let's continue today the next half part of the lesson. Today's video we will study about the revolution, the year, a leap year, seasons, phases of the moon, the lunar month, the days that is also called as tithi, the waning and waxing of the moon. Let's revise what we have learnt earlier. The rotation of the earth causes day and night. The revolution of the earth around the sun and its inclined axis together causes the seasons. The revolution of the moon around the earth gives rise to the phases of the moon. Students, let's do one more activity here. What is a year? Now, please pay attention. Move the globe along the circle on the table. As you do this, keep rotating the globe and ensure that the axis does not change its orientation. Now students, what means orientation? It means that the axis is not moving. The globe is sturdy. So you have to move the globe on the circle slowly, and while it is moving the circle, see that it is also rotating around its axis. Eventually, the globe will come back to its original place on the circle. This is how the earth revolves around the sun, even as it rotates around itself. So this tells us that while the earth is rotating, that is turning around itself, it is also moving around the sun. So there are two movements going on together, that is rotation and revolution. So this gives rise to one whole year. The period of time the earth takes to complete one revolution around the sun is called 1 year. There are about 365 days and 6 hours in a year. Students, we will study what is called as leap year. Leap year is also called as Gregorian calendar. The year is taken to have 365 days. It means that it counts 6 hours less every year. That makes 24 hours or 1 day in every 4 years. Students, you must be thinking, what is this Gregorian calendar? Gregorian calendar is a calendar which is used all over the world. We'll read it once again. In the Gregorian calendar, the year is taken to have 365 days. It means that it counts 6 hours less every year. That makes 24 hours or 1 day in every 4 years. To make up this lost 1 day, the month of February in the Gregorian calendar has an extra day every 4th year. That year is called as a leap year, and it has 366 instead of 365 days, and February as 29 instead of 28 days. Students, we know that the length of the days and nights are not same. Then how this happens? This happens due to the inclined axis of the earth. Even this inclined axis is responsible for the seasons of the earth like summer, winter, spring, autumn. Now let us understand how the seasons occur on the earth through this diagram. Now students, this inclined axis are responsible for the seasons of the earth like summer, winter, spring, autumn. It means that the daytime and the nighttime are not equal length and duration. That means sometimes the day is longer than the night time and sometimes the night time is longer than the daytime. So as the earth moves around the sun, it does not get light at equal proportion. So therefore, the daytime and the nighttime are not equal. Now let me elaborate this diagram and show you. Because of the earth's rotation, we have day and night. Seasons in the northern hemisphere and seasons in the southern hemisphere, why they are different, let's have a look. In the northern hemisphere, between 22nd March and 23rd September, the days are longer than the nights. Therefore, it is warmer there. That is, it is summer in the northern hemisphere. However, during this same period in the southern hemisphere, the nights are longer than the days. The earth gets less heat in these parts and therefore it is winter in the southern hemisphere. Let's have a look. You know that the length of the day and night is not always equal. This happens because of the Earth's inclined axis and its revolution around the Sun. In the northern hemisphere, between 22nd March and 23rd September, the days are longer than the nights. Therefore, it is warmer there. That is, it is summer in the northern hemisphere. However, during this same period in the southern hemisphere, the nights are longer than the days. The earth gets less heat in these parts and therefore it is winter in the southern hemisphere. Students, let's study what happens from 23rd September to 22nd March. In the period from 23rd September to 22nd March, the days are longer than the nights in the southern hemisphere. It gets more heat and it is summer there. In this period in the northern hemisphere, it is nights that are longer. The northern hemisphere gets less heat and it is winter there. Note that there may be differences in these dates due to the leap year. Let's read. In the period from 23rd September to 22nd March, the days are longer than the nights in the southern hemisphere. It gets more heat and it is summer there. In this period in the northern hemisphere, it is nights that are longer. The northern hemisphere gets less heat and it is winter there. The rotation of the earth gives rise to day and night. The revolution of the earth and the inclination of its axis gives rise to the cycle of seasons. Our next part is of seasons. Let's have a look. In India, summer, rainy and winter are considered to be the main seasons. We also divide the year into 6 seasons, namely Vasanta, Grishma, Varsha, Sharad, Hemant and Shishir. Cycle of 6 seasons is called as Rutu Chakra. Have a look. Vasanta, Chaitra, Vaishak comes in March and April. Grishma, Jyeshtha, Ashad comes in May and June. Varsha, that is Shravan, Bhadrapad comes in July and August. Sharad, Ashwin, Kartik comes in September and October. Hemant, Margashis and Paush comes in November and December. Shishir, which comes in Magh and Falgun, that is January to February. This is the whole year's calendar. Many of our festivals are connected with the seasons. Many of our songs and games are also related to the different seasons. Students, next image, please tell me which time is this? This is the night time. As we can see stars, we can see it is dark everywhere, and we can also see the satellite, which is called as the moon. So you must have guessed our next topic is phases of the moon. Have you seen any changes in the moon? Have a look. These changes we are going to study in today's topic, that is phases of the moon. Why moon always changes its shape? We know that the Earth's satellite is the moon. What is the name given to the changing shapes of the moon that we see? First is called as phases of the moon. What are the names of the days on which we see a round moon and on which we see no moon at all? Round moon is seen on the full moon day, and on new moon day no moon is seen. If you have known it, we call it in a house like Purnima, Amavas. Now we are going to study about it. The moon revolves around the earth and the earth revolves around the sun. However, these two orbits intersect. What is called as orbits? The path that the earth and the moon takes to travel. So the path that the moon takes to travel around the earth is called the moon's orbit, and the path that the earth takes to travel around the sun is called the earth's orbit. Now these two orbits or paths intersect, and because of that we have this phases of the moon. The moon revolves around the earth and the earth revolves around the sun. However, these two orbits intersect. Hence, the sun, the moon and the earth are not always along a straight line. Why they should not come in straight line, or why do they come in straight line? They come in a straight line only sometimes. That is, sometimes we experience eclipse, that is solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. We see half of the moon's surface which faces the earth. That is, from the earth we see only one side of the moon. The moon has no light of its own. We can see the moon because of the sun's light that falls on it. On a full moon night, we see the entire side of the moon that faces the earth. On a new moon night, we cannot see any of it. From the full moon to the new moon, the illuminated part of the moon seen from the earth becomes smaller and smaller. From new moon to full moon, it again grows bigger and bigger. These different shapes of the moon that we see are called the phases of the moon. The period from one new moon to the next is called a lunar month. It has about 20 to 30 days. So today we will be studying about the lunar month and days, that is Tithi. You know that it takes 14 or 15 days from new moon to full moon. This is the fortnight of the waxing moon. See the image. When the moon is between the earth and the sun, we cannot see the moon at all. You can see the arrow? This is because the side of the moon facing the earth does not get sunlight. So, it is called as the new moon. After 2 to 3 days, we can see some part of the moon. This phase is called the waxing crescent. You can see the view, the waxing crescent, the first quarter. About a week after the new moon, we can see half of the moon is visible. This phase is called the waxing gibbous. About 2 weeks after the new moon, we can see the full moon. This is because the full side of the moon facing the earth gets sunlight. Now the moon begins its return journey from the full moon to the new moon. This period is the fortnight of the waning moon. As the moon is now losing light, that is decreasing in illumination, we use the term waning. The next phase is the last quarter, followed by the waning crescent. When the moon comes back between the earth and the sun, it enters the new moon phase again. These changing shapes of the moon are called the phases of the moon. Let's revise once again. Phases of the moon. The moon has no light of its own. We can see the moon because of the sun's light that falls on it. every day of the lunar month is called a tithi. On a full moon night, we see the entire side of the moon that faces the earth. On a new moon night, we cannot see any of it. Motions of the earth, waxing and waning of the moon. Phases of the moon. From the full moon to the new moon, the illuminated part of the moon seen from the earth becomes smaller and smaller. From the new moon to full moon, it again grows bigger and bigger. These different shapes of the moon that we see are called the phases of the moon. What is called as waxing and waning of the moon? It takes 14 or 15 days from the new moon to full moon. This is the fortnight of the waxing moon. After the full moon, the moon appears smaller and smaller, and after 14-15 days, it is new moon again. This period is the fortnight of the waning moon. The lunar month and the days, that is tithi. Thus, the period from new moon to the next is of 28 to 30 days. It is called the lunar month. Every day of the lunar month is called a tithi. Motions of the earth is called as Shukla Paksha or waxing of the moon. From new moon till 15 days appears as full moon day is called as Shukla Paksha or waxing moon. Now, what is Krishna Paksha or waning moon? From full moon till 15 days to complete the new moon is called as the waning moon or Krishna Paksha. The fortnight of the waxing moon plus the fortnight of the waning moon together is called as a lunar month. Period from one new moon to the next is called lunar month. The fortnight ending on a full moon is that of the waxing moon. The fortnight that ends on a new moon is that of the waning moon. The days of the lunar month are called tithis. Students, these are few points to remember from the lesson. Lesson number 2, motions of the earth. Please go through each and every point carefully and note it down in your classwork book or in your rough notebook. A small homework for all the students. Make a note of it. What is meant by each of the following terms? A. Full moon. B. New moon. C. Lunar month. D. Tithi. Answer the following questions. A. What is the equator? B. What are the two parts of the earth made by the equator? Thank you, students.